driving the cab since it's summer. There's trees. Oh, happy summer. Yes, summer started, what was it, Wednesday? So we are now in the depths of summer. Yay, whatever. I'm not a big fan of summer. It's too hot. I'm a winter baby. I like cooler temperatures. Although for some reason earlier this week our air conditioner was playing up, and I'm annoyed because I cleaned that on Saturday. But we were running a good 4 to 6 degrees high on the temperature I'd set, and I walked into the living room and sort of, it's hot in here, what's going on? Looked at the thermostat, oh, 86 degrees, yes, it's hot in here. Not 86, 76 degrees. Or over 76 degrees. So I'm like, wow, it's hot in here. Teenage Osa. Oh, I think it's freezing. But she seems to be going into a contrarian bad attitude period at the moment. Muttering under her breath and generally being fairly obnoxious and bad attitude, so that Mrs. Osa's working on at the moment. Because it's summer, there's lots of events coming up, and Teenage Osa is heavily of the or heavily into a lot of extracurricular activities, and she might be missing out on some of them if her attitude doesn't change, and she's been warned. Unfortunately, because we've had the church event this week, nobody's been home except me when I'm at work, because I work from home. And so Monday the dishwasher leaked all over the kitchen floor, so we've not been using the dishwasher for obvious reasons. And so Teenage Osa's been doing the dishes by hand, and wow, that's, that tractor's still worth 200,000. Well, repair? Yeah, we'll repair that too. And I mean, because nobody's home, it's like the dish I used for breakfast, the dish I used for lunch, and that's it. And so, and then anything that she uses to have snacks in and drinks in when they get home in the evening. And she got home last night, and I'm standing right there. She's like, oh, we need to get the dishwasher fixed. Sort of, no, we haven't been here all week. How do you expect the dishwasher to magically get fixed? The attitude was just, no, sorry. It makes me less inclined to get the dishwasher fixed quickly. Because if you're going to have that attitude, if you think the dishwasher needs to get fixed, you've got a bit of money, you can pay to fix it. Okay. Now to figure out how to get back to wherever it is we were. I think there's a right turn here, yes. There's a ton of root crops out here. But yeah, the reason I brought up temperature is it does feel a little bit overly warm here again today. But that could be that I've got the office doors closed because Mrs. Osa's sleeping on the couch. I don't think anybody else got up yet. Alrighty. Turn that on, turn that on. Follow and turn that on, yay! And we disgorge the ton of grain from the back. Well, it looks like from here on down the header is wide enough to clear the rest of this row, which does mean I'll be able to get that little patch of grain that's in the middle of the field over there somewhere, just by that bale. Alrighty, let's get rolling again. Now I have 89,000, so we gained 6,000 or 3,000. Again, I think that's income from the BGA. One of the reasons I've got the BGA auto selling stuff is because there is no sell point on this map for methane or the other stuff, electricity. So I just have to sell it. Or I just have to set it to sell. Come and back up. And hopefully the Land Rover will be enough of an obstruction that the baler will make that turn too. Oh, I blew that, didn't I? Back that up a little. And I was trying to nudge it out of the way, and I completely failed on the depth of vision thing and crashed into it. How's the baler? Still following by the looks of it. Yep, indeed. So, yeah, what else has been going on? Oh, Tom Pemberton's Highland had twins in the video produced at the end of this week. And since they're both girls, it does mean that they'll be staying on the farm. The boy cows he sells because they're not... You don't want your boy cows mating with relatives, and since pretty much everybody on the farm is a relative, That's kind of bad for the genetic stock. And if she'd had a boy cow and a girl cow, then they would be sterile, so not really worth keeping, either of them. Obviously the boy cow would go, the girl cow would not be useful. Oops. But since they're both girls, they're both breeding stock. So next time he brings a bull out to the farm, and they're old enough, obviously, then things will be fine for them. Now, problem I have here is that we are more than half full, so I'm not going to make a cut through or cut in. So, gonna dump this load. Then we're probably halfway cutting. 45% cut and 30% shipped so far. So it's going to be a little bit more than 3 full trailer loads. And a little bit there, and off we go again. And I think... Come on, lower, thank you. Cut in here down to about 0%. There we go. And cruise control on. So, problem when I'm not doing GPS on something like this is I don't know how. Yeah, with GPS I can keep the track precise, so we're cutting a 100% straight line, but we'd also be cutting full header widths from that last edge, so I wouldn't have a narrow sliver of wheat that we have to go pick up, which is a little bit of a waste. It makes it a little bit more efficient on the number of times you drive up and down the field, I guess, is what I'm saying here. And we'll probably have to do at least one more cut in on that side of the field. I could probably have gone over another row, I guess. But I want to be careful because obviously yeah, this is potentially one header width to our right, not even one header width to the right, so I mean, I'm happy for that. That's not a bad width, actually. That might be wider than the header. I don't know. It's a little bit difficult to tell. I've either got it. This is definitely looking. I am more than 1 header width and significantly less than 2. And oh well. This is good. 10,500 might be what the trailer can still hold, which means that we've got at least a trip up and down the field in the harvester before that's full. However, it might be a bit less than that. But for now, we have a sufficient width at the ends. That's the other thing. With a smaller harvester, you kind of need to do 3 header widths, or 3 headers, to actually give yourself sufficient room to swing the harvester around in. So this is definitely... it's a good size. Obviously the bigger harvesters, they've got less of a turnability, but they've got significantly bigger headers. I think usually I'm comfortable with about 25 foot. This I think is a little bit bigger. Oh, there we are. So 17.5, 27 for 28.5. So that should actually fill us up. So I could shut down the harvesting crew and make a run to the store. Or not. Okay, yeah, let's kind of do that. Oh. 27,997, there we go, and harvester has 67 litres left in it. Whoops. Fold that in. Alrighty, let's not push the ignition button, that's a good start. I suppose technically it would be, well, no. I was going to say, it would be bad for me to sell this tractor because it's worth quite a lot. And we bought it, technically we bought it used, unfortunately, because of random bale bug issues. It went into orbit a couple of times, so this is actually the 3rd model I've had, but I suitably aged them after, cheating in money to get them new. So it's got the right number of hours, it's just technically not as old as it should be. That said, just driving to and from the grain mill has aged the tractor 1% in maintenance. So how are we doing? We're still at 89,000. It is 7:15 in the morning. July 2, year 6. Hot. I really don't remember how hot is 21 degrees. I've been working with Fahrenheit for so long. Most of the rest of the stuff is fairly normal. I mean, as far as the UK is concerned, I'm one of the last educated generation that learn feet and inches and meters and centimeters. Because about the time I was 7, the country went metric, but it wasn't enforced for another 5 or 6 years. So you could still, if you went to a grocery store, then you were still paying, or you were buying kilograms of fruit and veg. But if you went to a market stall for a couple of years, you were still able to buy pounds and ounces. Until the government started threatening them with fines. I do remember that the jam jelly for American manufacturers didn't they used glass jars for all their things. So they didn't go and smash up the jars and make new ones at metric sizes. So instead they used to, they went from selling, a pound of jam to, 576 milliliters of jam or whatever it is. And didn't change how much they charged for a jar of jam. You got the same amount of jam in the jar, and their claim, we're selling it as metric measurements, and they still got threatened with no. You have to sell it in metric measurements. In other words, you have to round it to the nearest 50 or 100 milliliters. So they had to start selling 500 milliliters of jam, which of course is smaller than a pound of jam, which, obviously the consumer looked at it and said, why am I getting less jam in my jar? Especially since they were generally charging the same price for less. And because the government forced us to, or the bureaucrats forced us to. And eventually they got rid of all the glass jars, created plastic jars to put them in, and the plastic jars were the right size for 500 milliliters. And that's the way it went. And of course the biggest problem for my dad was they got round to the point, okay, we want to replace the kitchen. So he got the kitchen all measured up and basically told the cabinet maker how big he needed the cabinets, and they weren't nice round 100mm numbers, because the house was built in the 1920s when feet and inches were used. So he's looking at sort of, okay, the kitchen is however wide it is in feet, and I have this much width for cabinet space, so to keep things relatively cheap, I'll have a couple of big 1 meter cabinets or 500mm cabinets or whatever it is. And then what I'll do is I'll have a 76mm cabinet to fill in the gap. And the cabinet maker's like, oh no, I can't do that. The bureaucrats won't let me. I'll have to supply you with cabinets that almost make the size you want, and then we'll provide you with an extra piece of wood to stick over the end. And we'll have to provide you with a bit of wood that's too wide for the gap. And the fitter can cut it down to fit. But we can't sell you, in spite of the fact that millimeters are far more accurate measure than inches. We can't provide you with. And it's like, seriously, this is ridiculous. I need to turn that on first. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now what do I need to do? I need to turn that on. So of course, buying lumber to do my own stuff, I'm fully aware of I buy 8 foot of material and I need 7 foot and 4 inches. I'm going to have to cut it down to length, but the fact that a cabinet maker in the UK is not allowed to do that by law is stupid. My dad was all prepared, okay, so a cabinet at standard widths of 1000mm or 500mm, obviously you make most